sure this camera is picking me up good. All right, cool. All right, here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Fucking A. Sorry. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, anybody and everybody around the world, welcome back to the Phenomenal Fan Podcast, episode number 40. 40. Jared is back. I am back. We've got a lot of juicy items to talk about. Tom and Aaron Rodgers should have retired decades ago. Kyrie Irving has CTE. Fantasy football is literally random, has no skill involved whatsoever. And at the end of the episode, we're going to be drafting our favorite top best sports cities in the United States. So all of that is in front of us in this beautiful 40th episode we have in front of you guys. Let's get into it. And let's let this intro play out, but excited to talk.
The Phenomenal Fan Podcast, a podcast by the fan, for the fan.
All right, Jared. Here we are. Episode
right.
40. Episode 40.
It's been a minute, but it's what a great time to come back on Halloween.
Great time to come back on Halloween. I was
Had the
so
spooky vibes in the air.
Yeah, I was so locked in on the Padres postseason run that nothing else in this world mattered to me at all. Nothing. Like there's nothing in this world that I was like, I need to do a podcast. I need to do this. Like it was all about bringing home a World Series title to San Diego. That didn't happen. And we'll touch on that quickly, just based on the fact that it is, we talked about spooky season and all that stuff. It is World Series season, technically, right now. Game 3 is supposed to go down tonight. And I say supposed to because apparently there's some rain. I don't know. But Padres didn't make it. The Phillies and the Astros are playing each other right now. I picked Astros in 5 just on Twitter before the series started. Technically, that's still in play, but the Phillies came out with a little bit of fire in that first game. Came back down 5-0. So, I mean, I think it'll go 6. Maybe it goes 7. I think the Phillies are great at home. I think the Philly fans are psychotic, which is great for them. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
They're not psychotic.
In a
They're
good
fanatic.
way. Yeah, yeah, there you go.
They're
a bunch of Philly fanatics. Yeah. So
and
yeah, that's where we are with baseball.
That's
Because the Padres almost made it, Jared. The Padres were close.
Yeah, no, they were the champions of the trade deadline. It was an awesome job. At least they knocked the Dodgers out.
No, that's what. Yeah, I went around afterwards, shaking hands with everybody, kind of like, you're welcome. You're welcome for taking the Dodgers out. My pleasure. No worries. Because I think everybody picked Astros Dodgers, but it's just never the two best teams. It's just never the two best teams ever. And the Dodgers just, I mean, of course they lose to the Padres, and then all of a sudden now everybody wants to change the playoff format in Major League Baseball because it's too long of a break for the number 1 and 2 seeds. Didn't hurt the Astros at all. The Astros went undefeated into the World Series. So whatever. I don't care. We beat the Dodgers, and maybe they expand it to 7 games in the first round again, like kind of the NBA, NHL style. If they want to, great. I still think the Padres win that series based on the fact that it was 3-1 after 2, That's my personal opinion. Dodgers came out flat. Didn't want to play.
I know they had like a great season, but it's like I didn't really think that team was all like watching that team this year, I wasn't sold. I like obviously they had their tons of issues at the back end of the bullpen when Craig Kimbrell just
Couldn't pitch.
is he's kind of like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady in the terms of like, hey man, like I get it, like you've had such a great career, but he's still throwing 98 with a nasty hook, so it's like really hard to be like, oh, this guy needs to retire. But it's like
He's like
he's just
33.
not he's just not yeah, it just doesn't feel like he's performing
No, he's
like
not.
anything like he was. But and I always loved Craig Kimbrell for the Braves, but I just felt like once you got past that those top three guys,
That's what I was gonna say.
you have the cheater Cody Bellinger,
Yep.
who
No,
was a
literally.
clear cheater.
Max Muncy
Him
probably
and
too.
Christian, yeah, him and Christian Yelich, just MVP race, absolute fall off.
Can't hit the ball anymore. But they they
Yeah,
almost won
they hit
MVP.
330 with 47 jacks. He did win MVP. Bellinger did.
I know, and then
330
Yelich
with
did the year
40,
after. Yeah.
40 47 jacks, and then just didn't hit over. Hasn't hit over like 17 since then.
Yeah.
And he bats 211.
Yep.
But anyway, moving on from that, I just didn't like that team. Max Muncy kind of like coming down like the stretch too. Like he started picking it up a little bit, but still there was no average there. Then you got like Joey Gallo, and then like Gavin Lux was pretty good actually, but then like Trace Thompson, like it just wasn't.
Yeah, no,
I
with
didn't
you.
look at it
Yeah.
like I didn't look at that team and like I wasn't like blown away by them
No, the top
as
three,
much as
the top three going through that series as a Padres fan, and we don't have to spend too much time on it because the Padres are done and the Dodgers are done. But that top three, watching that series scared the fucking shit out of me every time they came around. Like every time Mookie Betts came up,
yeah.
I was like, all right, well, he's gonna hammer this ball. And then Trey Turner came up, and I was like, all right, he's gonna fucking hammer this ball. Trey Turner did, and then Freddie Freeman quietly, I think, hit like 380 in that series with like 3 home runs or 2 home runs. Mookie Betts actually like wasn't that great, but then like you said, after that, like Will Smith didn't do shit, Cody Bellinger didn't do shit, Gavin Lux didn't do shit, and their pitching was okay. And like that's,
Yeah.
I think they just this year they had a division with the Giants who were bad again, the Diamondbacks who were bad, and the Rockies were horrible. And they just piled up a bunch of wins. They play each one of those teams 19 times. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of success. And then they were good. I mean, they had good players, but I don't know. Fuck the Dodgers, man. Who
Yeah.
cares? Dodgers can eat my ass. Padres came up short. I really was hoping for them to give it a good run and try to get to the World Series. I thought no matter what, and I told this to everybody, Phillies or Padres, no matter what, Astros were going to kick their ass. And I'm honestly surprised it's not 2-0. Probably should be 2-0. The Astros were dominating that first game, and then the Phillies fought back and snagged a win in that first game of the World Series. But Game 3 is supposed to be tonight, and it's raining in Philadelphia. Just shithole East Coast fucking October, November cities. Just classic. They always want to host a fucking World Series and have these teams but it's like it's always 33 degrees and just like sleet coming down in November. It's bullshit. I'm like, no, let's do San Diego and Houston with a dome. That would have been a lot more fun. We wouldn't have to worry about this fucking bullshit. But either way, that's where we are with baseball. And yeah, there's not much to it. It's 1-1. 3 straight in Philly. Phillies don't have to go back to Houston if they don't want to.
Yeah,
But
go Phillies. It's still that cheating ass Dodgers team or Astros team.
See, the only I get it, but
I like them more now. I like them more now.
Dude, Dusty Baker, talk about a guy who deserves a fucking championship, though. Dusty Baker is like one of the best baseball dudes ever. And he needs a World Series. He's been to Game 7 with the Giants. He went to the World Series last year and lost. He's 0 for 2. Like, the guy fucking deserves it. He's a great manager. He was the Cubs manager when Steve Bartman reached over and fucked their team for another decade and a half. So, yeah, Dusty Baker, he deserves it. I'm impartial to the World Series. It is what it is. Moving on to more important things, Jared, and the topics that dominate throughout the week and especially over the weekend. The National Football League Association of America, the NFL
Of the United States.
of the United States of North America. The NFL, if
You
I'm
know
gonna,
what? I can't get a fucking read on the NFL
dude,
at
I was
all, and we're
about to
like
say,
we're dude, we're rolling into week 8.
we're halfway through the NFL season, and I can't tell if the NFL this year like kind of sucks or if it's like entertaining because there's not a lot of points being scored historically speaking in the NFL, but a lot of the games have been really entertaining and close. And then there's also a lot of shitty teams beating a lot of really good teams. So I don't know if that's good or if it annoys the shit out of me when like the I bet on the Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars beat them, like I'm like
Like
is that
38, like what was like 38-7?
yeah, I was like I'm like is that like cool? Is that like entertaining or am I just pissed cuz I'm losing money? Like I can't tell. Yeah, I can't peg
There's
the
like
NFL this year.
there's like some reads that like have been somewhat easy. Like it's kind of easy to bet against the Rams this year if you watch
Yeah.
them.
Yes,
Like
especially the
with like
spread.
like that 49ers game felt like just terrific. Like I was like, oh, this should be an absolute lock. Christian McCaffrey just nutted all over him.
He really did. He did.
And then yeah, no, he did. He did a passing, receiving,
3
and
different types
rushing
of
touchdown. Like
touchdowns,
what?
yeah.
Yeah, that's absolute nutting. Uh, and then you have the Giants playing good good football basically all year. I get that they really don't have any like weapons outside of Saquon Barkley, but like the Seahawks, I don't like why are they fucking overperforming?
Here's my thing, I don't think
Who's on
anybody.
that team? I guess Kenneth Walker is fucking
I mean,
the best
DK
player
and
in the
Lockett are
NFL.
good, but they weren't expected to be good without a good quarterback, but apparently Geno Smith is
Dude,
a fucking
Gino,
MVP contender this year. The fuck is that about?
dude, what the I don't it was he just a guy that really never got like enough of a
He must
chance?
not have gotten,
Like
like, the looks, you know?
because he was so fucking I remember him in college. He was in West Virginia, right?
Uh,
I remember
that sounds
I think he was
right, yeah.
yeah, I think he
No,
was
that sounds
I
right,
think he
yeah.
was West I think he was West Virginia. Yeah. And I remember him being so sick. Like I remember like loving like thinking that he was like one of the sickest players in college football. And then like the guys kind of just disappeared. Like I think he went to the Jets originally, and then it's like he gets this chance and he's just fucking able to. Maybe he's just a little bit more confident because he's got Drew Lock looking over his shoulder. You know what I mean?
He's
Like
got this
he's not
year
he's not
he's got a 107.2 passer rating, 13 touchdowns, and 3 picks in 8 games. He's got 1,900 passing yards and 72% completion. I mean,
that's
it's like
unbelievable.
MVP
He's on
numbers.
yeah. It's like that's
Like the
elite.
only thing he might be maybe trailing a little bit in is like yards, maybe, and maybe like touchdowns too, I guess. Um,
I mean, we could check and see where he
I'm looking at
ranks.
I'm looking at yeah, he's not that far behind in passing yards.
Passing.
He's 8 in passing yards. He's yeah, the only he's 8th in passing yards, he's 5th in touchdowns. Um he's 2nd, he's 3rd in quarterback rating. Or I guess passer rating. Sorry, not QBR, but passer rating. Um Yeah, dude, I mean, right now he's a top 5 quarterback this season. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league. Bottom line, where no matter how you peg him or whatever you want to say, this season he's top 5. Arguably top 3 depending on what stats you value, and that is ridiculous. That's what we're talking about. This league, you can't peg it. You can't peg what's going on. One thing
Yeah,
that
it's super weird.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I
I was
was
said it's just super weird. It's like there's no fucking consistency. You like things don't match up. Like one like somebody will get blown out, and then you're really low on them, and then they'll come in and they'll beat a team that like they
yeah.
got. You know what I mean? It's like they'll come in and they'll beat a team that got beat by the team that blew them out, and they'll beat them by
It'll
14.
it's like a
You're
it'll be like a
"What?"
triangle. It's like a triangle of like it'll like just to use teams as an example, like Seattle, the Chargers, and like the Cowboys or something. Like the Seahawks will beat the Chargers will beat the Cowboys, and then the Cowboys will beat the Seahawks. And all 3 of them will be blowouts. You're like, how How did the Seahawks blow out the Chargers? How did the Chargers blow out the Cowboys? And then the Cowboys play the Seahawks and they get blown out. They blow out the Seahawks. Like, it doesn't make sense. One thing too, looking at the NFC, the here's your four first place teams in the NFC. NFC East is the Eagles. That doesn't shock a ton of people, but I think a lot of people would say that they picked the Cowboys to win that division. Okay. The
Yeah.
NFC North
The
has
Cowboys are looking better. They're looking better.
yeah, they're 6-2. NFC North has the Vikings in first place, and by the way, the Vikings have Vikings have a 3.5 game lead on the next team already. They are in 6-1, and the Packers are 3-5. The team in first place in the NFC South is the Atlanta Falcons, and the team in first place in the NFC West is the Seattle Seahawks. In week 8, if you told me the Seahawks, if the season ended today, Seahawks, Falcons, Vikings, and New York Giants would all be in the postseason. The Giants, Falcons, and Seahawks, those 3 teams. So I think all were projected to win anywhere from 4 to 5 games this year. And they're all just in first place. I mean, it's just, there's nothing you can do right now that could like just, there's no pattern. There's no consistency. There's no like, oh yeah, this game, 10.5 points. I guess maybe like last night between the Bills and the Packers. Maybe that's more so just the Bills. Everybody knows the Bills are great. The Bills are a great football team. Up and down.
There's four or five like teams that you can kind of look at. Maybe 6. I'll throw the Bengals in there. You can look at and you can be like, oh, they're like legitimately like a good football
Yeah,
team.
like they'll be in the playoffs.
They got a stud quarterback. Like there's going to be some sort of consistent performance. They have weapons. And it's like you have the Eagles, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys with Dak back. I like them again.
Mhm.
You have the Bengals
Would you
and
put
the
the
49ers.
Would you put the Ravens in that group
The-
too? Playoff bound?
Yeah. I guess the Ravens have been pretty good with Lamar. I always get real worried about Lamar just having that 179
Dog shit game.
the
Yeah.
179 yard, 1 touchdown, 1 interception day.
With 2 fumbles
But
or a fumble and a pick.
yeah, once if they can shut his running down.
Yeah, I think right now
that's what it feels like. There's not a ton of consistency.
if I had to pick my top 2 from each conference, and I really hope this is how it ends up playing out. I hope the NFC Championship, it's the Eagles and the 49ers. And I hope in the AFC, it's Bills, Chiefs. And I think once you get that, like if you get those final 4 teams, you can't really go wrong with a Super Bowl matchup. Because even with the 49ers, it's like before McCaffrey, they are always that team. They were that team last year that just like snuck their way into the NFC Championship with solid defense and good running game and timely passing from Jimmy Garoppolo. This year they have Christian McCaffrey. And I like still to this day, I just still don't understand why Jimmy G gets like, I don't feel like he gets a ton of hate anymore because he's won so much, but the hate he got at the beginning of the year, man, was so unwarranted in my opinion. Because Trey Lance is so much better, Jimmy G, whatever. I'm like, dude, guy just wins. So yeah, it's a crapshoot a bit in the NFL, and that, Jared, that will lead me to our next talking point about in relation to football and specifically fantasy football. Because this last week, Jared killed me in fantasy football. We had a matchup and he beat me 100-78. Okay?
No, I think I still got guys going.
And you still got guys. I think you got not Joe Mixon tonight. I think you got
A couple.
Joe Mixon and Nick
I
Chubb.
saw
And
that.
Hayden Hurst.
Yeah.
So you won, and I have nobody left. I scored 78 points, Jared. Let me run you through how everybody did for me. Josh Allen.
Devontae Adams crushed it.
Josh Allen, number 1 fantasy quarterback, got 17 points. I mean, it's not great, but it's whatever. Let me just read through. I'll go through projected score based on ESPN's bullshit fucking metrics, and I'll tell you what they actually scored. Josh Allen was projected for 23. He scored 17. Najee Harris, who has just been a fucking bust all year. I was all in on this fucking guy. I sold out on Najee Harris, and he just has done nothing in fantasy. I think he's got 2 touchdowns, and they've both been receiving. Like, fuck, dude. It's so bad. Still not as bad as Jonathan Taylor, and that's another part of this point I wanted to make. Najee Harris, 10, scored 8. Raheem Mostert, projected 13, scored 7. Mike Evans, 12, scored 15. Dallas Goedert, 8, scored 9. Singletary, 13 and 8. Bills, 6 and 4. My kicker, 8 and 7. Devontae Adams, projected for 15, had 1 catch for 3 yards. 1 reception for 3 yards in the entire football game. This year, Jared, he has in his games, he's got 25, 8, 11, 15, 25, 17. Last week, 0.7. Anybody who sits there and tells you that they're a good fantasy football player, like, oh, I'm good. I'm a good fantasy football player. It's bullshit. Fantasy football is completely and 100% random and arbitrary. The only place you could consider yourself skillful is if maybe you found out that a guy was hurt or there's another opportunity for like a backup running back to be the starter. But even then,
You're aware, yeah.
But even then, that's not a guarantee that the guy's going to get touches.
It's speculation.
Yeah, it's like, it's nothing.
It's all speculation.
Last week, I picked up Isaiah Pacheco in 3 different leagues because the morning of the game, the reports came out from fucking Rappaport and Adam Schefter. Running back Isaiah Pacheco took every snap with the first team in practice this week. It looks like he's lined up to start. I'm like, dude, explosive athlete, Isaiah Pacheco, starting running back on a Kansas City Chiefs offense that just puts up points. Dude, that is a recipe for a 20 spot in my fantasy lineup this week. I start him 6 carries for 22 yards. And 2 catches for 8 yards. Like, it's fucking random. It's literally fucking random. I had another guy in one of my other leagues with my girlfriend's family, Jared. He put up 175 points, and he has 2 players left to play. The Cleveland tight end and Cade York, the kicker. He put up 175. How about he had Josh Allen for 15, Alvin Kamara, another one, had 0 touchdowns coming into this week. He scores 3. It's fucking random. No, this shit is random, dude. There's no so random. Pattern to it.
And it's you know what's even more frustrating? Well, I got 2 points I want to make. Nobody else gives a fuck about your fantasy team other than you.
True.
And the only reason that anyone will ever listen to you talk about your fantasy team is so they can fucking tell you about their fantasy team.
They just wait for you they wait for you to finish so that they can.
Yeah, they're not even listening. Yeah. They just want you're just fucking just word vomiting. And then they're turning around and they're word vomiting, then you turn around and you get your chance. You guys both feel you feel heard, but nobody else in the fucking world.
And nobody's actually listening to each other. It's mostly just you venting. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's venting. And I will say, and it's going along with your randomness, which nobody gives a fuck, but nothing is more frustrating than the guy that's just fucking. He should just go play craps because he's never gonna roll a 7 because that's how lucky he's been. It's the guy that's got he's 10th in the league for points for, but he's
6-1 after
12th in the league for points against, yeah. And you see, like, you'll go out there and fucking have a gritty 108 to fucking 112 loss. And then you'll look and go and check out the league scoreboard. And this guy, he won with fucking 64.7 points. And you're like, what? You're like, why am I catching a fucking L right now?
Yeah. No, it's true.
And fantasy football is fucking frustrating, and nobody knows shit. And
That's
it's all
that's
fucking
what like
rigged.
this week. This guy I was talking about. He had Kamara, who scored 42. He had Tyreek Hill, who scored 31. He had AJ Brown, who scored 36, and he had Tony Pollard in his flex, who scored 34 points. Tony Pollard scored 34 points. Oh, and on
Yeah,
his
well, it's 'cause
bench, he had Travis
no
Etienne,
Zeke.
who had 25. He had 25 points on his bench with Travis Etienne. Like, I'm sorry, dude. If you are sitting here and telling me that I mean, I get it. James Robinson got traded. You know, Etienne's going to be the starter. But if you're going to sit there and tell me that he's going to have 25 fantasy points against a Denver Broncos defense, you're lying. People that say they're good at fantasy, they're just not good. You can sit there and trust me, I follow the fucking guys on Twitter. I follow the guys on Twitter. I see them on my feed all the time on TikTok because it's all part of the algorithm. And these guys are like, this guy is everybody pick up this guy right now. He's had 4 targets 2 weeks ago, 6 targets last week. He's only trending up. Like, these guys don't know anything. And we've talked about the NFL being rigged in the past. Like, you talk about, it's the same thing with betting. You're like, this guy, bet on him to get a first touchdown, or this guy to get a first touchdown. They don't give a fuck about our bets. They don't give a fuck about your fantasy team. They just want to score touchdowns. And if that means they have to run a play action and throw a fucking on play action from first and goal and dump it to Xander Horvath in the back of the end zone, they're going to do it. If he's open, they don't give a fuck that Austin Eckler's in the backfield and you have Keenan Allen on your fantasy team and you have Mike Williams in your flex and you have Justin Herbert anytime touchdown. They don't fucking care. Xander Horvath, that's who they're going to go with. So for anybody that says, I'm good at fantasy football, how about this one? A mutual friend of ours, Jared and ours, in our college baseball buddies fantasy league. This kid finishes routinely in the bottom 3 every single year, if not dead last. Once again, this year, if we look at the standings for this year, this kid is, and we won't name names, but I'm sure he knows who he is. This kid's 1-6 in our fantasy league this year. And that's where he sits most years. He finishes near the bottom. And no disrespect, love the guy. He's one of my favorite guys ever. But his team doesn't perform very well. Last year, Jared, he won the whole fucking thing. He won the whole fucking thing. He goes from like last place team, wins, and now he's back in last place. So if that's not a testament to just the fact that fantasy is fucking random and there's no pattern to it, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Because it's fucking random. That's all I can say on that.
Well, and I think there's the other thing about fantasy that makes it really tough. A lot of it is random. Like the matchups are fucking, who knows who you're going to play that week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also there's not a lot of mobility inside of fantasy. You can't, once you have your team, it's really tough to like fucking reshape your team. Like once you've drafted, you can go and you could offer some crazy trades, or you obviously like you can fucking try to ball in the waiver wires, and what you also have to get lucky once again.
Yeah, because again, like another good one this week.
Team, you're stuck.
Yeah, this week is like Deontay Foreman, right? Deontay Foreman or Dante or whatever, however you say it. He scored 31 last week. And you're like, damn, like that's a big fucking week. He had 26 carries for 118 and 3 touchdowns. But this is his fantasy score so far this year, Jared. 0.5, 0.9, 0, 0.2, 0.2, 1.9, and then he gets 15 last week and 31 this week. Again, I know McCaffrey got traded. I get it. But there's just no guarantee that that guy is going to come through and just rack up the fucking points. There's no guarantee. So, I don't know. Maybe it's more so me just venting than anything else like we talked about. But I think...
Well, I would be pretty pissed too if I got my fucking tits kicked into my chest this week.
Yeah, whatever. I'm fucking...
By a superior fantasy player.
Yeah, yeah. By a guy who's better at fantasy football.
I'm just clearly smarter and more skilled.
That's what I think the thing that pisses me off is that it like implies that it's like, oh, this guy knows more than I do about fantasy. Like, What is everybody's got access to the same information. That's my point. Like, there's nobody like it's just fucking random. It's not like you're like, oh, hey, I heard this guy's fucking playbook. They're working him into the playbook. Like, nobody knows. It's fucking random. That's all I'm saying. So listen, it
I
is what it
agree.
is. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and complain. I'm going to get pissed when Devonta Adams scores .7 though. It's going to happen. I don't know what else to tell you. He's this number 6 fantasy wide receiver, and he scores .7. I'm going to get pissed when I have Tua on my bench and he scores more than Josh Allen. I'm going to get pissed. I don't know what to tell you. So, that's football. That's fantasy football. Before we draft our sports cities, Jared, the last thing I want to touch on, and we don't have to get too political. We don't have to get to anything. I just want to get your take on what is going on chemically inside the brains of not the brains plural, the single brain of Kyrie Irving, because I have it written down here under our topics as Kyrie Irving is the Antonio Brown of the NBA, except Kyrie Irving doesn't have CTE. Antonio Brown undoubtedly has CTE. So if there's any excuse for a guy like shoving his bare ass in girls' faces in the pool and like making memes where he's like kissing Giselle and like these random things, like the guy's just the chemicals in his brain aren't balanced. So I'm not giving him excuses. He's got to get some help, and I don't know what he's got to do to treat that. I know it's not necessarily like this treatable thing, but Kyrie doesn't uh doesn't have that. Kyrie doesn't have that excuse. So what's going on, Jared? What's your explanation for Kyrie going off the rails for, I don't know,
Dude,
the 30th time in his life?
I think it's like I think it's probably some sort of weird like mental condition that develops with like a life like he's had where he's just been a star in the limelight. And like I think these guys like, and it's probably just the mashing of whatever his like deep down underneath personality is, also with like a zero repercussion life that he's probably lived.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And like he just feels like he can say whatever the fuck he wants. And I mean, he fucking last season told that fan to suck my dick, bitch. Like said that to a fan.
You just can't say
And
that.
it's like
You just can't.
yeah, it's like it's just like I don't feel like he's had to have any repercussions. He didn't have to get the vaccine, or he didn't have to, he's had all sorts of issues throughout his career, and people are still fucking paying the guy $40 million a year. Like, so I don't know. I think it's just a fucking whatever his ego is combined with, like I said, like he was a dog that's never got smacked on the nose, I guess.
No,
Like, you know what I mean? Like he's never gotten in trouble. He's never gotten in trouble and been able to do that shit and make a fuckload of money. So like I just feel like it's just a weird combo of that. I mean, he's always been kind of weird. He's been like a flat earther guy as well and shit, but he's got like, you know what I mean?
When he was on the
he
Cavs,
has a weird personality.
yeah, I feel like when he was on the Cavs though, like with LeBron back in like 2015, 16, like he was very just like non-confrontational, like very just chill, quiet kind of guy, quietly like dominated.
Like
Yeah, no, yeah, really. I mean, like very quiet and reserved, and then would go out and just like dominate on the court. And then he like, occasionally a couple different times he was like vocal about, oh, like flat earth and all that stuff. And most people were like, he's just joking around. But now he's like, I mean, he's just, yeah, I think the one common factor you find in guys like Kyrie Irving, guys like Fernando Tatis Jr., Antonio Brown, it seems to me like these guys have all ended up surrounding themselves with a support system that enables this kind of behavior, where they don't have girlfriends or wives to answer to, they don't have kids, they don't have, maybe they do. I don't know if actually does Kyrie have any kids? I don't think so, right?
I don't know.
Actually, now I'm curious. Does Kyrie have kids? Oh, he's got a daughter. Okay. Kyrie has kids. Does Antonio Brown have kids? Please say no.
I think he does
Oh,
too.
he's got a bunch of kids. Dude, okay, then what's going okay. All right. That's even more baffling to me is that these guys have like children to like they have children to answer to. Like, Dad, why are you putting your ass in some girl's face in a pool? Like, what does he say to that? You know, like I don't know, but maybe the children thing doesn't matter. I think your point in general though is like it's the lifestyle that those guys live where it's like not only is it like unchecked, but you're also like rewarded on such a gigantic level. You feel like you're invincible, I think is what those guys think. So when you get like that and you don't have anybody to bring you back down to earth, to say like, "Hey, Fernando, like maybe you should check up with the team doctor before you start rubbing a steroid cream on your fucking balls to try to get a little bit stronger and heal quicker." And like, "Hey, Antonio Brown, the guy who's filming the video laughing, maybe he should put the phone down and be like, "Dude, what are you doing? Like stop shaking your ass in some girl's face." And like Kyrie Irving's like sharing, I don't know what even the whole deal is with the most recent thing he got in trouble with. Just even more in general, like it'll always serve you better, especially if you're in the situation or the lifestyle that those guys have, to just keep it dialed low, keep a low profile, and just go out and just dominate on the field, on the court. I'm not saying shut up and dribble. I use your platform, I get it, but to sit there and like the first instinct for Kyrie is to just be the opposite, be confrontational. I'm like, dude, that's not gonna serve you
Yeah, no,
well.
it's it's kind of funny because it does seem like when people like when athletes, specifically athletes, get some like attention in the social media for what they're doing wrong, they like fucking for
I
whatever
like love
reason,
it
they
more.
like compound it by doing more like
Yeah,
things that are
yeah.
stupid. Like fucking Antonio Brown, like it's like people like fuel his fire and then he posts the picture of yeah, he posts all the fucking pictures of like Giselle and shit, like absolutely burning a bridge with Tom Brady. That's a fucking like
That's the last guy you wanna burn a bridge with. After he just supported
and
you and
just
brought you back.
yeah, he just what a cocksucker. Like that's all you can really say about him. Is like just what a, but like
Yeah,
you watch it and it's like he does that and then he like keeps doing it, you know, like in like he like it definitely like fuels his fire. Kyrie kind of feels the same way. And then in a kind of fucking weird reverse scenario, know who's kind of been doing that shit too? Russell fucking Wilson.
yeah, he does
Russell
the
Wilson,
opposite though, yeah.
like people are like, "Oh, dude, that shit's cringe." And then he like will one up his like cringe level.
Yeah,
Like, how did you do that? Like, how did you like quit saying shit and doing shit like you're
on
so fucking
purpose, like,
corny.
super
Like
cringe.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like stop. Like, oh, it's me, Robot Russ. He's acting all fucking weird. And it's fucked up because me as a Broncos fan, like I was so pumped when Russ was coming here. And I don't ever remember hearing about I know Russ was kind of cringy and kind of like stiff, you know, when he was in Seattle, but I don't ever fucking remember him being in the limelight for being just an absolute tool like he is
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Like
No,
he's bad.
that's a scenario where, yeah, I think as an athlete, especially a big time athlete, a prime time, like, superstar, face of a franchise, like, you just you have to calibrate both sides. You have to like I think you just in general, it'll help your level of play if you stay level-headed. If you're a guy that like throws temper tantrums and demands attention and makes these public scenes on Twitter or like social media, that's not ideal. If you're on the other side and you're getting your fucking ass kicked every day like Russell Wilson, I mean, I know they just beat the Jags, but like the 4 weeks leading up to that, getting your ass kicked every time you go out, you look and play like shit and you come in, you're like, yeah, I just got to stay to the grind. You know, man, really feel good about this team. I think we got the pieces. It's like, no, actually, as a fan, I actually want you to be upset. Like when you throw and like if you go 3 and out for the 5th straight time in a game, go to the sideline and start screaming at somebody. Like slam your helmet, you know, because that way I know you at least you
Yeah.
care. But yeah, on the flip side, you don't want to be Kyrie. You know, and then you have guys like Kevin Durant too. Like Durant's gotten himself into like a little bit of social media trouble and like he had these burner accounts and it's like, you know, he was unchecked. He was like the super talented guy that was unchecked, superstar level player. And then I think if I had to guess, somebody important in his life, mom, parents, close friends, whatever, like, hey man, chill out. Like, you don't need to be on Twitter and responding to everybody. You
Yeah,
get
there's
paid
two
$40
you're
million a year.
yeah, you're too big You're too big of a name and too big of a deal to get yourself in trouble on fucking Twitter.
Yeah. So I think those guys. I
Stupid.
think the solution for Kyrie and AB. I mean, I truly like. I don't mean this to be disrespectful to AB, and not like he's ever going to hear this anyways. But I think he's got some chemical imbalances. Like I've seen videos and interviews with him early in his career in the NFL, and he's like super mature, well spoken, like like really good, like playful banter back and forth with the reporter and like joking,
Yeah,
like
I saw that. I
yeah, it's
think I
like
saw that one where he's talking about Ben Roethlisberger and like staying on. That's and I maybe it could be chemical imbalances or it could just be like straight up just overwhelming amounts of fucking ego.
well, what I
Like to
mean by
the point
chemical
where
is
like
like I don't mean like he's got like I think he literally has his brain has gotten so much damage to it. I mean, Vontez Burfict came across the middle and knocked him out. Like that's not good for your brain. It's literally I mean, you hear the same thing of like about guys like Junior Seau, like rest in peace, but these guys that like seemingly were really happy and like retired from football and then they just take their own lives because they had a chemical imbalance in their brain. It's something they couldn't control. So I don't know the answer is for AB. I hope that's not the case, and I hope he can get help. But I think with Kyrie, dude, like somebody in general, the key to level headedness and success, sustained success, I think, as a big athlete, is a good support system and accountability. And if you have those two things, you know, like you talk about, like if you guys ever watched the Derek Jeter documentary, like that guy had those two foundational parts of his life: accountability and a good support system. I mean, when he played like shit and he didn't do well, his parents would let him know and or made a mistake. His parents let him up, but they never even gave him an opportunity to make big mistakes. They just instilled in him the right ways to go about certain things. And I think if Kyrie can find that, great. I think hopefully he can because he's obviously an exceptional basketball player, you know. Um but he's like the thing is too, like he's not the biggest in the world. Like LeBron is way bigger, in my opinion, like bigger endorsement deals, more global, and LeBron doesn't like have these giant off the court issues. So it's like, does LeBron have access to like, is he going to a psychologist? Is he like have therapists? I don't know what it is, but hopefully Kyrie can clean it up a little bit and we can watch him play basketball and enjoy it without having to half the things I hear about him are off the field or off the court. And then the other half is like, oh, by the way, he also put up 38, 8, and 9 tonight. You're like, oh my God, like that's insane. But like, yeah, but anyways, he's posting this bullshit on Twitter. You're like, dude, guy's a monster. Just like let him live though.
yeah,
He's gonna
it's
let himself live.
it's it's all a show. I bet you the league doesn't even really care that much when people start
Yeah,
getting
that's
in
probably
trouble. They
true
just
too.
they have a press release. It kind of makes them larger than just the game. So I bet you they really don't even care. But
Yeah.
no, but I completely agree. I mean, he's a fucking idiot.
All right.
And
All right. So Kyrie,
anytime you tell your fans to suck my dick and
yeah,
you're in a
it's not
position
ideal.
where you that's ego and like you yelling at suck my dick at a fan, like that is knowing that you're going to keep on getting opportunities to play the game and
Right.
it is never going to change.
Yep.
So
Okay.
anyway,
So
let's move
Kyrie,
on.
yeah. So
Let's
Kyrie plays in Brooklyn, which falls under the New York umbrella, right? And New York's got two basketball teams, two hockey teams, two football teams, two baseball teams, and it's a lot to deal with in New York. And that's a big market, Jared. But with big markets comes electric sports uh experiences and city comparisons. So what we're going to do, we are hold on, my camera's all buzzed up here. Get it focused. Can't really tell. What we're gonna do is we're gonna draft the top sports cities in the United States. I'm gonna go first. Jared's gonna go second. Typically, I like to, in drafts in general, the snake draft is the fairest way to do it. But unfortunately, in this situation, it's kind of hard to just do that with two people. So you just go back and forth. And next time we do a draft on the next episode, Jared will go first. That's just how we're gonna do it. We're just gonna switch off who gets to go first. Keep it as simple as possible. Once you get to like 4 or 5 different people picking, then you do the snake. I think that's the fairest. But anyways, Besides the point. The point is we're going to draft the best sports cities in the country. We each get 5 picks. Are you prepared, Jared? Are you ready to go? Do you like your list?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to roll, and everything I'm gonna do is gonna be better than yours.
Okay, fair enough.
Just like my fantasy
Fantasy
football team.
team, yeah, makes sense. Okay, so best sports cities draft in the United States. With the first pick in the draft, and hold on, by the way, before we draft, hold on. This is well, I guess I was gonna put like criteria, like what is most valuable, but it doesn't matter. That it's based on like you might think one city is more valuable than another. For me, my first city I'm gonna take is Boston. That's my number 1 city. That's my number 1 pick. Boston, Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics. I feel like at any given time, one of those 4 teams is gonna be finding themselves in a championship scenario. So I like Boston. Even though they only have 4 teams, I don't want to say only, that's a lot. I like Boston with my first overall pick.
Okay. I mean, I like that and I respect that, and I probably would have taken them number 1 overall. They're like Victor Membayan or whatever his name is, gonna go number 1 overall, guaranteed. You know what though? I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm gonna take a little bit of a shocker here, and I'm gonna go Philadelphia
Okay.
at,
Philly.
at 2. And that's gonna skip right over some of the bigger markets, and reasoning behind that is because it's just the 4 main teams, and it's not like I have a little bit of an issue with having the too widespread of too many teams in a
Yeah.
city.
No,
So
definitely.
I'm taking Philly, and then also my company's from there. So
Let me ask you this. Hold on, let me fix my camera again. God damn. Let me ask you this. Would Philly have been your first pick if the Eagles weren't 7-0 and the Phillies weren't in the World Series?
it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if my subconscious is holding any type of bias on that.
I mean, it's not a bad pick. I
But
like it. I like it.
it's a good time. Well, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. Philly's just kind of a just a great classic sports city. You know, it's an East Coast city. It's just like, and all the people that I work with. Yeah, that's my other point too. My company's from Philly, so I work with a lot of Phillies fans, and I like kind of like the way that they. I just kind of like the way that they're all really loyal. Like everybody
No,
there is
dude,
everybody that's from Philly.
it's a fucking great
It's a
sports
great
city.
sports. It's a great sports city. So that's my take on that. And
I
the
respect that.
Sixers are good too.
Yeah, I respect the fan base that holds the teams accountable. I think there's a lot of fan bases like, one city will have 8 sports teams and you're like, "Nice." But it's a little more lax. Like whereas in Philly, like dude, if the Eagles lose like 3 games in a row over the next 3 games, they're going to be like, "Do we have the right guy at quarterback?" Like literally, they'll be 7-3 and they'll be like, "Do we need to change something?" Like that's kind of how they are. And I love that cuz it's like, dude, you got to hold these fucking guys accountable, you know? But good pick. I like that pick. Uh, number th- my second overall pick, Jared. This is not going to surprise a lot of people. I'm going to go New York. I know it's over. It's kind of it's washed a little bit. It's just there's so much. It's so saturated. Mets, Yankees, Rangers. New York City. So I don't know if you could include the Islanders because they're in Long Island. Uh, but then they also have the New Jersey Devils that are very close nearby as well. But yeah, Rangers. Mets, Rangers, Yankees. The Nets are in Brooklyn, which is New York City, and the Knicks. I mean, it's just a shit ton of sports teams, and the Yankees are always really good. Oh, and the Jets and Giants. I
Yeah, I mean that's my issue.
I get it. I
There's too many.
I get it, but it's probably the biggest, most notable. It's like a top 5 most notable city in the entire world. So
Yeah, and
they deserve a few
there's
teams.
some serious. There's some pride.
Yeah, and they have yeah, exactly. I think that's the part that I respect is that it's not like the whole city is like, "Oh, hey, go Mets, go Yankees." It's like, "No, no, no. Fucking pick one. Mets or Yankees." And if you like the Mets, fuck you. I like the Yankees. And then, like, Jets or Giants? You like the Giants? All right, we can be friends. If you like the Jets, I'd have told you to fuck off. You know? Like, I like that part of it. Whereas I think in some other cities that have a couple or like multiple options, it's not quite as hostile. So that's why I respect the New York market. That's my number 2 pick.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I didn't want to take. No, I didn't want to take. I didn't see. That's why I skipped taking an oversaturated
Yep.
market as my number one overall pick, just because I'm a down to earth guy,
Sure.
and you're like a piece of shit, so
Right.
you wouldn't mind
Well,
doing that.
I'm
But
not a piece of shit. I'm just I'm I'm yeah, like you're down
I
to
am
earth and
gonna
I pick.
go, and I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to take Los Angeles. I
Okay.
have to take Los Angeles here
That's
in
fine.
this slot.
Yeah.
They got a lot. They got a shitload of teams. There's a ton of teams. Obviously, but you got, let's see, Rams, Chargers, Dodgers, Angels, Lakers, Clippers, Kings, Ducks,
Yep.
all in one city as well. So it's kind of saturated, but it's like really I'm taking them specifically because of the Dodgers and the Lakers and their like storied histories, and
That's
like
fine.
the other teams like Rams and Chargers haven't even been there for like, when did the Rams get there? Not even 10 years ago.
Dude, like
And I
5
don't know
years
if they were
ago.
that, weren't they were the were they the LA Rams before? Weren't they like the LA Rams before and then St. Louis in the
Dude,
back or something?
I don't know.
I don't know.
LA has had so many football teams. Chargers, Raiders, Rams, then the Chargers again, then the Raiders again. Yeah, I think the Rams were in LA, but they're back. And they won a Super Bowl
Yeah,
while being in LA. So I get it. They're an LA team
even
now.
though it was rigged. It was
Yeah,
all
I
a
mean
show.
100% rigged, but I mean, hey, at least Dwayne the Rock Johnson was on the field to fucking open up the fucking Super Bowl. Anyways, um that's a good pick. I like LA at 2. I like LA at 2. Um with my third pick here, I don't know if this is going to surprise a lot of people,
What is it?
and I'm debating between 2 or 3 different teams or 2 or 3 different cities here. But I think I'm going to go Chicago at 3. I'm going to take Chicago. Uh, you got Cubs, White Sox, Chicago Bulls. You got the Blackhawks. You got the Bears. Blackhawks have had a couple Stanley Cups. The Cubs just won the World Series not too long ago. The White Sox ended a drought in the 2000s. The Bears had absolute domination with oh my god, the head coach. Oh my god. Who?
Was that Mike Ditka or
Yeah,
whatever?
Ditka, mustache Ditka. I like Chicago at 3. I think Chicago is a good pick there. But I like it. I like Chicago.
Yeah, I like Chicago's teams as well, and I think that's another city that's kind of got like very loyal fans.
Little grit to it.
Probably, yeah. Well, and I think you're enough. I think you're like far enough away from some of those other cities where, or like, I don't know. I just feel like Chicago people obviously like hate like the Detroit teams and other teams around them.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I think they have strong loyalty for sure. So I like that pick. But I'm gonna go ahead and take San Francisco at 3
It's a
for
good
me.
pick. That's a really good pick.
I just
Yeah. That's a really good pick.
just 49ers, Giants, and the Warriors. And I guess the Sharks technically are San Jose.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Oakland's right across the bridge. But I wouldn't consider Oakland San Fran. But
No,
like
it's a different
49ers,
yeah.
49ers, Giants, and Warriors. Like that's all you need. Like there's been some domination in there.
It's a good
You have
pick.
two dynasties coming out of there in the 2000s with the Giants winning. How many have they won? Three
Yeah,
World
they won
Series.
3 in 5 years. Yeah.
And you got four championships for the Warriors. I mean, it's a good sports city. If there wasn't homeless people shitting all over the sidewalks, I bet you I would like and California's just ridiculously bad like fiscal policies. I think I would
Yeah.
I think I'd like San Fran.
No, I think I would too. I
It'd be
think
even cooler.
if they get this just a little bit more just cleaned up over in California, I think a lot of places would look great for people. Um, but I mean, I know people who live in San Fran, and I know two different good friends of mine, and they both really like it. It's a little bit sketchy in some parts, but it's fine. Okay, good pick. Good pick. I think we'll go one more each because there's not that many cities left that are actually good. So we'll go one more city each. Is that fair?
Yep.
My last pick, it might be a bit of a reach at 4, but I like it. I'm going to go Denver.
That pisses me off so much that you just
Was that
fucking
your
took
next
it because
was that your next pick?
the only reason I didn't say it is because I'm from Colorado. I wanted to wait, I didn't want to be
I
like
like Denver though.
I
You
didn't
got the Broncos have got a few rings. The Nuggets are pretty good. The Avs have dominated and got a few rings. I think they got to pick it up. If the Nuggets find themselves with a ring or two in the next decade, and the Rockies, I mean, by some stroke of God, find themselves with a ring at any point in the next 20 years, they might find themselves in that top first 3 rounds conversation. But in the meantime, they're a 4th round pick, but they have four sports teams. I mean, if you want to throw in the fucking lacrosse, you want to throw in MLS soccer, I mean, they got it all. And the football team's usually one of the most important to the cities, and the Broncos have been, relevant for the last 20 years or so. So I like Denver at 4 in the 4th round for me.
Yeah, it's bullshit that you took my hometown, but whatever.
Well,
All right.
here too,
You know
brother.
what then? I got a good I like my number 4 and I think I'm going to go it's not about championships. It's just about the teams and
Okay,
kind of like the fan bases there.
that's fine.
It'll throw you off probably.
Okay.
Dallas.
Ooh, okay. Oh, I like
I
Dallas.
like Dallas. Dallas, you got 14 another like first of all, to even qualify on this list, you got to have all 4 major like sports teams.
100%. You have to.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
you can't just have one or two of the teams.
No, you can't.
So Dallas, I mean, you got like you think Dallas, obviously the Cowboys are one of like the biggest franchises in all of professional sports just in general. You got dickhead Jerry Jones as the owner and he built Jerry World and it's just ridiculous. And then stars are pretty good. Mavs are competitive
Playoff
with
team.
Luka
Yeah.
and playoff team. And then the Rangers just invested a bunch of money last year, even though their team didn't really work out how they thought it was going to.
Yeah, it's still new
It's just
ballpark
kind of a
though.
cool, kind of a cool sports town. With a shitload of pride. I mean, fucking Cowboys fans are like,
Yeah.
they're like annoying Patriots fans with Southern accents.
Yeah. No, I like the pick. I like the pick. It's good. That's a good take
I like
there.
Dallas at 4, which is literally number 8 on the list now. So I
mean,
it.
I think if we missed any cities, I think after the ones we took, Jared, there's a lot of really good sports cities, but they don't have all 4. They don't have like Pittsburgh, really good one, missing basketball, as a team, but they have hockey, baseball, and football. Like that's a good pick, but you could go like Milwaukee doesn't have hockey, but they pretty much have the Packers and Green Bay, Brewers, and Bucks. Like that's a pretty good pick.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minneapolis. Do they have all 4?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they have. Yeah,
Vikings, Twins, Timberwolves, and the Wild.
Seattle.
You got
Seattle. That's a good one. They got 2.
They
They have 3 now.
Oh, they do have a hockey team. They don't have a basketball team.
Yep, they don't have basketball. St. Louis is another good one.
Detroit's kind of a sleeper.
Detroit is a sleeper. They have all four, don't they?
They have all four, and it's like they actually have quite a bit of like tradition with those four
And
teams.
kind of have some championships, like a little bit of sneaky success. I mean, the Lions have
It's
been
just like
so bad though for so long, like so bad
yeah.
for like 20
I
years.
just feel like the issue with me picturing Detroit. I don't think I've ever been to Detroit, but when I think about Detroit, I just imagine just vacant buildings.
Yeah, just like gray is the color I think of when I think of Detroit.
It's gray and it's just vacant buildings and graffiti, and then like maybe like some tires burning somewhere.
Yeah. Another good city that just missed.
And everyone there works at the car factory.
Yeah.
Like that's the only jobs there.
Yeah. Yeah, 8 Mile. I mean 8 Mile. That's it. Like they all work in a factory and like yeah. But they got four sports teams. So, I mean, whatever.
It's
You know?
kind of wild.
Another city, the last one that kind of missed my list that I thought about for a second was St. Louis, but they only have baseball and hockey, which is kind of an odd combo. But no basketball, no football team left. Kind of tough. Bit of a grind. But the Cardinals are super like one of the most traditionally like rooted baseball teams in the league, and the Blues have been pretty competitive. So, yeah, that's a good list. I like the group we went with, and that's why I shut it down at 4 because I started looking at these other cities, and I was like, I don't know, like Phoenix. Is Phoenix gonna make these lists? Like,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Phoenix. You can't. I don't respect Arizona's professional sports.
No, I don't either. Yeah, and then I'm like,
I don't like the Suns.
I'm like, is Cleveland gonna make this list? Like Cavs, Indians, Browns, and then like hockey is like Columbus has a hockey team, which is close. Like, is Miami gonna make this list? Like they have.
I feel like nobody in Miami even goes to like people in Miami aren't even fans of Miami.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like Marlins games, there's nobody ever there. The Dolphins are but it's a fucking celebrity It's just
I feel like it's
a pool party. And then the Heat are like competitive, but then they don't have hockey either. But like the Florida Panthers are like close. I don't know. Yeah, I think we shut it down at the right time. So
Miami does Miami not have a hockey team? Yeah, I guess the Panthers.
The Panthers, but they're not technically like in the city of Miami. They're like a little bit outside. Like,
yeah,
it's not like
well, and I think
they're the Florida Panthers. They're not the Miami Panthers. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. So
yeah, I think also like in Miami, you're just like
again, same thing. Yeah,
everyone's worried about wearing white pants and fucking going to clubs, and everyone's just Cuban and eating like Cuban
100%.
That's it.
I've been to Miami twice, and both times I got there and I was like, oh my god, they like. I went to a Marlins game.
It was their
opening day.
More stereotypical than you'd expect it.
Yeah, I went to Marlins opening day last season, and the entire game, like it was close to sold out because it was their opening day, and they also ran like a kids' day promotion. They just wanted to fill up the park for opening day. And dude, if I had to do percentage breakdown of actual people watching the game as it was going on, like Bryce Harper and the Phillies, like it was the Phillies, a good team. Probably 70 to 80% of the people in the stadium were just simply not watching the game on the field. Like they were just fucking chatting, drinking, like music's going in the club in left field. Yeah, that's not a great sports city, but whatever. I mean, it's a party, I guess. Well, anyways, Jared, that's going to do it. We ran it an hour. We covered a lot of different topics. We drafted our favorite, top sports cities in the United States. And we covered everything. We'll be back later this week. World Series Game 3 is officially postponed. So by the time we talk again, only 2 games I'm going to be guessing will have been played. Maybe just the one. I don't know. It does line up. It does line up pitching.
Travesty.
It does line up pitching a little bit better for these teams. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for tuning in to the podcast, guys. Episode 40. Pretty good number of episodes, just so you guys know. I mean, 40 episodes. Nothing to bark at, but it's also 40. That's a good number, right? I mean, that's
a great number on great spooky season number.
Yeah, happy Halloween too to everybody listening. Recording on Halloween. Your girl, make sure you turn that Winnie the Pooh costume and somehow into a bikini top or,
Yeah,
whatever.
cut the ass cheeks out.
Yeah. Somehow find a way that nurse costume, just yeah, throw on the nurse's hat and then a white bikini somehow. Just make it ridiculously overly sexualized. Cuz what is Regina George? What does she say in Mean Girls? Like Halloween's the only holiday or the only time of year when girls can just dress up half naked and nobody says anything to them about it. So I know the parties were all last weekend, but hey, if you're going trick or treating tonight, somewhere warm, fuck it, you know, do whatever. It's your choice, Anyways,
And
uh,
I'm sure there'll be plenty of people out at the bars, but
yeah,
it falling on a Monday is pretty lame. So,
yeah, the whole
oh well.
weekend, the past weekend, that was where the action was. Um, anyways, thanks for tuning into episode 40, guys. We'll catch you guys later this week. Jared, it's been a pleasure. And you got lucky in fantasy this week. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Thanks for listening to the Phenomenal Fan Podcast. Want more? Follow us on social media and subscribe to Patreon for exclusive content.